In this video, it's a car that is almost peak HubNut. It's the Mk3 Astra 1.4 Merit. I'm not sure what merit means, mostly poverty I think. So what we have in front of us here is a Vauxhall Astra Mk3, also known as an Opel Astra F. It was the first time Opel dropped the cadet name tag and used Vauxhall's Astra tag, as they were trying to consolidate the names across the fleet. So the Cavalier would become the Vectra in Opel and Vauxhall form, for example. A very, very capable car, a very, very successful one. Did you know they sold over 4 million of these across Europe and indeed the world? It was even sold as the Holden Astra in Australia and New Zealand. This is a facelift version. The facelift came in 1994 with clear front indicators, the later corporate Vauxhall grille with a bit of chrome, and smoked rear lights, previously reserved just for the GSI models. And you've got this little trim across the back to tie it all in. This is not the best example, so it's perfect for HubNut. There's a bit of rust creeping in there. There's a badge missing off the back. It does still have its original dealer sticker. How's that for fancy? A very sleek car following on from the Mark II Astra Stroke Cadet, which was also very, very sleek and aerodynamic. They only sold about 3 million of those. But this was a huge success for Vauxhall, especially in the face of wilting opposition from Ford with the Escort. The Escort slipped down to like number 5 in the sales charts, with Volkswagen's Golf Mark III right up there at the top. And I think the Golf 3 offered a bit more solidity, some finer materials, but fundamentally these are very, very good cars. Let's have a poke under the bonnet. Swooping in, we can see the old Family 2 engine, looking very, very simple and easy to work on, because that was very much the design philosophy of these engines. Came out in the early 1980s, used in the Mark II Astra, Mark II Cavalier. Really nice, simple, single overhead cam. Camshaft drive goes straight into the distributor on the end. Oil filter, nice and accessible. Very, very simple engines. I think when they came out with the facelift, they introduced Ecotec engines across the range. But I think this 1.4 may have stayed in use as kind of the entry-level engine. Stepping aboard, we got some typical jazzy 90s interior trim. And yeah, it's all a bit cheap and nasty. It's a Merit, so it's bottom of the range. We've got keep fit windows. We have got power steering and a driver's airbag though. I think those were improvements that came in with a facelift. But yeah, keep fit windows, manual locks. The toy count is rather limited, although it does include the very good Philips cassette player here in the middle, where you have to enter a code for, and it's built in as well, so the display is actually part of the car. That was quite a big thing they made a deal of at the time, and luxuries such as a push button to recirculate your airflow, and look at this, soft closure ahoy. Look at that, that's how the Astra opens up. Gear shift gator's gone how they always do. Still got a lift collar for reverse gear, but nice snickety 5-speed gearbox. The headliner I'm having 1 or 2 issues with. It is sagging a bit, and if I remember rightly, you pull the headlamp switch to make the interior light go on. Ah, the memories come flooding back. But it's a nice comfortable driving position, not all that much adjustment going on. The controls are a bit flimsy. Let's do a wiper test while we're here, shall we? There we go. Oh no, I hadn't realised that. We have got a triangle of doom. That's most unusual on a Vauxhall or Opel. So that's not ideal. Let's test the back one while we're at it, shall we? Oh, that's interesting. If I offer... okay. Something a bit weird going on, because when I operate the rear wiper, it washes the front as well. There is a mist function, as you can clearly see. So yeah, that's the rear wiper, which is now on the intermittent setting. There isn't a full power mode, so you just kind of wait. There it goes. A pretty good sweep, I would say. So yeah, we've got our light control down here, and that'll be a fog light, which I think will go off and... oh no, it does stay on. There we go. The Volkswagen, when you turn the headlamps off, it turned the fog light off. So yeah, it's I mean, a temperature indicator is pretty fancy. But yeah, while it's stylish in here, the quality is a little low rent. I mean, this example is well used on a farm, I think. So it's not the finest example, but nonetheless, I appreciate finally getting the chance to try one of these. So jumping into the back, oh, squeeze down and in. Oh yes, even behind me there's plenty of leg room going on. There probably would be a decent amount of headroom if the headliner wasn't sinking onto my head, but it's not a bad place to be. And these head restraints with a hole through mean you can actually see reasonably well forward. Obviously it gets blocked by the driver, but it still gives you a bit more view. And importantly, I remember from my long haired days, these head restraints allow your ponytail to come through, so are much more comfortable as well. Check the low luggage area, and yeah, it's a decent sized old boot on these, very deep, and there is still a full-size spare wheel under the floor, so a good amount of space. Split folding rear seat makes all the space, so it's good times. A very practical car. So it was introduced in 1992, I think, the Astra F. Just sounds very, very typically Vauxhall on here, but like I say, the gear lever's got a nice action on it. Very long travel on the clutch pedal. A very Germanic feature, I would say. Obviously all the development work was done in Germany, though these cars were built in several different countries, including Belgium and Germany, I believe, and of course Elmsmere Port in Cheshire. This power steering is very nice, lovely weight to it, just kind of perfect really. It's not too much, not too little, and generally it's just such an easy car to drive. The engine, I'm going to do my window up, just bear with me. The engine is so tractable and pulls so well from low revs. Has a really nice spread of mid-range torque. It's an old, 8-valve engine, and yeah, it's just a really nice car to drive actually. I think very much this is kind of peak car. You've got fuel injection to make it reliable and dependable, the electronic ignition, etc., power steering just to take the strain away, but fundamentally this is still a very simple car, and all the better for it. I mean, it just doesn't have that quality feel of the Volkswagen Golf. That's what Volkswagen do so well, but it still feels pretty good. The suspension is, really, really rather good. It gets a bit caught out over really rough roads, but rides wise, just you can hear the suspension working away. The 1.4 petrol was the baby of the range. There was a 1.6, I think there was a 1.8 later on, and all culminated in the red top 2 litre in the GSI, the most exciting version. And I think a really nice looking car. I generally like the styling, I really do. I think it stands apart. It is Germanic, it is quality. It's a really stylish car, and you can see why anyone looking at a Ford Escort at the time would have gone, you know what, maybe not, let's go and check the Astra out instead. So a phenomenal sales success. I mean, over 4 million, that's more than Citroën sold 2 CVs, and this Astra was only in production for like 6 or 7 years. It's extraordinary. I think it's a fine testament to how good this car is. I think it steps up the refinement a notch or two over the preceding models. Now we're in a very urban setting, and yeah, that ride, the limitations, I am finding them a little. But it's a nice size, it's not too big, so you can easily work it around a car park, I'm going to say. But yeah, no need to hold the revs rather, into third gear. Yeah, it's actually feels quite sprightly. I'm quite surprised. I was expecting this base model to be lacking in oomph. I'm not sure why. My friend James had an Astra when I was at school. Because he was disabled, he could drive it at 16, and actually you shouldn't give 16-year-olds cars, it's a bad idea. I know for a fact that car would do 100 miles an hour, and I also know he found the limits of the handling quite a few times. Yeah, this is really good. This, like I say, this is peak motoring for me. It's simple, it feels a little old-fashioned by today's standards, in the fact the windscreen's a bit close and you can actually see out of it. But yeah, a very likeable package, very practical, absolutely ideal. The estate is even better. It's got a lovely look to it, the estate, with a roofline just sort of bobbles up at the back. But Tony did a cabriolet as well. They're getting exceedingly rare now. So yeah, there's a full range of cars. Apologies to Australia, who apparently didn't get the estate. Apparently they only like big wagons. So there we go, that was the deliciously humdrum Mark III Vauxhall Astra in 1.4 Merit Bogo standard form. I really like it, there's a lot to like there, very capable, they're cheap, they're not plentiful anymore. Of those 4 million, an awful lot have already gone to the crusher. But if you find a nice one, keep hold of it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Farewell. Gotta love a free spoke, even if it's a wheel trim.